Look, TikTok is a huge platform, and I'm sure there's a lot of creepy and disturbing content out there. But in regards to this iceberg, I'm gonna be honest, most of these entries aren't that scary. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about some ghost videos and some true crime, which can be terrifying. However, for the most part, it's stuff that young teenage girls watch while kicking their feet up on the bed. But then right at the end of the iceberg, we get some super graphic content that I can't even talk about on this platform. It literally goes from 0 to 1,000,000 in an instant. Yeah, we're starting off really scary, guys, with rare usernames. I feel like this entry is pretty self-explanatory. Having a rare username on TikTok is a pretty big flex. Most of these rare usernames compose of 4-letter words, city names, cool phrases, and just some regular old people names like John or Jimmy or something like that. I don't know. Sometimes users were able to get single-digit numbers as their usernames, which is pretty impressive. Apparently there's this TikTok black market for these usernames where people would try to sell these rare usernames for hundreds if not thousands of dollars. And most of these usernames that are on sale are pretty hot trash. You can buy usernames like e-bikes, gaming pill, and G3FY. And these 4-character gibberish usernames are the most common ones you'd find on these black markets. Of course, if you're like a big influencer or celebrity, you would just have a pretty unique username, just like your regular legal name. That's pretty cool. Okay, but like, do you seriously want to pay $400 just to be called wedding venues? The hamster cult. Okay, when I just said in the beginning that this iceberg wasn't creepy, I lied, okay? So apparently it's this cult where they would recruit members through subliminal messages on certain TikToks that go viral. They would tell these new recruits to go to some place, and like once you're there, it won't be long until they transform you into those big ass hamsters from the Kia Soul commercials. This is such a stupid joke. I'm just talking about these people. This hamster cult is just a bunch of users showing off this profile pic, the hamster with the ceiling fan meme you've probably seen on Twitter or TikTok. And these hamster accounts would just flood other people's TikToks and would just post comments like,
"Hello hamsters, join the hamster cult. We don't mock God or burn Bibles. Join the hamsters now."
However, people who did join these hamster cults were bombarded on their accounts with a bunch of follow requests, DMs, got a bunch of weird people with hamster pictures all up on their inbox. And apparently this cult is beefing with another cult, the Lana Del Rey cult, who are just a bunch of Lana fans hyping up her music and whatnot. And apparently this hate started after Lana Del Rey was caught up for not having enough diversity on her album cover for her album Chemtrails Over the Country Club. It's gotta hit him with the rat attack! And this phenomenon is happening yet again. Lately on my For You page, I see a bunch of people with Ice Spice profile pics. I'm telling you, that person is a munch. And they would invade any TikToks that involve Ice Spice, or maybe the one of the TikToks were playing her song or something. Of course, people are confused as hell on why there are so many Ice Spice profile pics commenting how like Ice Spice is the queen and you know she got that recoil and whatnot. So people on TikTok can put on their bios whatever they want. So many of them have been putting, "Oh, don't report me, please." And you know, I guess they think it's an effective way to prevent anyone from reporting their stuff. I mean, some of these accounts have these warnings because they do kind of have some stuff that you really shouldn't watch, you know, stuff I can't talk about on YouTube, you know. Anyways, most of these accounts have do not report because maybe they have some like edgy, you know, "Oh, look at me, I'm so funny when I say like, you know, something racist or out of pocket or whatnot." And they're just like overall trolling, and it's like those YouTubers that put those copyright disclaimers in the beginning thinking that that would stave them off from any copyright troubles that they'll face in the future. India banning TikTok. There's nothing really creepy about this situation unless you're scared of international conflicts between two nations that could influence other nations to reconsider what social media platforms are being used. In June 2020, India announced that they would block 59 mobile apps from China, including TikTok. And this block happened after India and China had a huge conflict over a border that sat between the two countries. Apparently, this led to construction activity appearing on both the Indian side and the Chinese Chinese side after they had a huge clash which led to 20 Indian casualties. According to India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, they received many complaints about apps available on iOS and Android that have been accused of, quote, stealing and surreptitiously transmitting user data in an unauthorized manner to servers which have locations outside India. Now, because of this ban, this allowed rivals of TikTok, which is mostly YouTube Shorts and Instagram, to basically just take up all of TikTok India's turf, which is, you know, a little sad because Indian TikToks are funny, dude.
I'm sorry, I'll try harder.
So India's ban on TikTok really sparked conversations calling for other countries like the United States to ban the app as well. As far as the US goes, state governments have banned the use of TikTok on government devices, and the federal government recently banned it on all federally owned devices because they feared that the Chinese authorities could have access to sensitive information through TikTok. Some corporations have already banned TikTok on company-owned devices, so maybe the days of TikTok are numbered in the United States. Like just recently, as I'm recording this, the EU is already talking about banning the app pretty soon, so who knows? Better enjoy your TikToks and save all you can.
I put the new 4Gs on the G. I trap and
Hey, I just want to interrupt this video real quick because I want to introduce my Patreon. That's right, for just $3 a month, you can get exclusive content, early access to my videos, Patreon exclusive updates, and of course, having your name on the videos, just like these wonderful people back here. So, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check out my Patreon down below in the description. All right, back to the video. Listen, I know it's a big meme, and many people complain that these Iceberg videos have like no f***ing idea what they're talking about. But honest to God, I have searched, looked up, went through the library, went through the deep bowels of the internet, and I could not find anything related to DaBaby or any raids on TikTok. The only thing I could find were news articles about how DaBaby was raided by the police in February 2022 after he busted out a weapon during an altercation with his girlfriend's brother. It could be similar to this hamster cult. I've seen some users with DaBaby profile pics going, "Let's go." TikTok is known for having users who are desperate for views and attention, so they would do anything to get a couple of eyeballs looking through their profile. And of course, this led to people resorting to faking disabilities so that they can get some views and attention. One of the most common disorders that people tend to fake is Tourette's syndrome. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea why. I guess some people think that having these little tics make you all so cute. Ooh, woo, look at little quirky. I'm so quirky, I tick every 3 seconds. However, many people who actually have Tourette's have talked about how their tics negatively affect their lives, but you know, TikTokers don't give a f about that. And the biggest example of someone faking Tourette's syndrome on TikTok for internet clout is the user Ticks and Roses. If you don't know, Ticks and Roses was a TikTok account owned by Emerald Rose, who claims to have had Tourette's since they were 6 years old. Most of their TikToks showcase how Tourette's syndrome affects their lives, along with the occasional promotion to their yarn business. Now, as their TikTok began to rise in popularity, many began to suspect that her tics were probably fake.
Send me to Canada! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell down. He's dead now. Bye-bye! Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock and stole his Talk a little bit about wow! 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 Beans! Beans! Beans!
Many viewers have pointed out how convenient her tics were caught on camera and how they sound weirdly forced. Soon, many people exposed Emerald after finding old videos of Emerald talking for minutes, sometimes even hours at end without having a single tic. Even though on her TikToks, it shows that she uncontrollably tics every few seconds. Soon, Emerald's sister came out on Reddit to explain how Emerald was faking her Tourette's syndrome, but she was in fact mentally ill. Emerald herself later confessed that she had faked the disorder to spread awareness and to help people with Tourette's syndrome. The TikTok account was later deleted, and Emerald addressed the deletion on her Yarn business account, where she did not take a single time.
Hey, I was not planning to address this anymore because addressing it has not fixed it. I have not gotten through my tics. I just don't record on days that I have my tics because I was literally bullied off the internet. So I do not do awareness for Tourette's anymore, regardless of the fact that I do have a clinical diagnosis. So I'm spending my time on my yarn business.
So that's the story of Tics and Roses and how she became one of the biggest examples of how people fake their disabilities on TikTok for internet fame. There is another account that I want to mention, at Adopted and Disabled Child. Most of their content revolves around a family adopting and taking care of this supposed disabled child. And for some reason, many people took the bait. There are a lot of supportive comments praising the family for taking care of the child as their previous family couldn't and all that. And it wasn't until TikTok user Neens.com, who at first thought the account was satirical, later did some digging and found out that the supposed disabled child was a 20-year-old soccer player who did not have any disabilities at all. Now, of course, why do people fake disabilities on TikTok? Views and attention. I don't see how this is creepy at all. Jail TikTok refers to prisoners who make TikTok showcasing their daily lives in jail. Some dance the occasional TikTok trend that's going on that day. Some even showed off like life hacks. The ones I like to watch are the ones where they show you how to cook like prison dishes, like prison ramen and all that. And yeah, these jail TikToks aren't scary or creepy at all. It's just dudes vibing out in jail. Obviously, we don't know what crimes they're being held for unless they tell us, so maybe these prisoners who are doing these little TikTok dances or talking about their lives might be in jail for some really egregious and disturbing crimes. So prisoners are getting viral on TikTok. How are they getting smartphones into jail? Aren't they banned or something? Well, to answer that second question, yes, they are banned from jail. And to answer the first question, these prisoners have been smuggling in smartphones through a little outside help. These phones could get sneaked in through the mail the prisoners receive. Some people are using the high-end technology of airdropping these smartphones from drones. However, the most common way to get smartphones into prison is to just bribe the cafeteria cook or some miserable guard, slip them a 20 and they can get the phone from them. So yeah, many prisoners have been making TikToks through these illegally smuggled phones, and at first I thought that wouldn't be a problem, but the prison facility and state governments have otherwise to say. They claim that many prisoners having cell phones could cause a problem because some of them actually use their phones to blackmail people, even sent threats to senators. So this caused a major movement in prisons to crack down on these illegal phones to try to confiscate them and destroy them. Congress even proposed a bill which allowed state prisons to jam any cell phone signals coming from the prison. Okay, vegan teacher Katie Diekemeyer, better known as That Vegan Teacher, is an animal rights activist and former teacher who is best known for promoting veganism. She first got super viral on TikTok after she made this little diddle criticizing McDonald's for not being vegan.
3, 2, 1, sing! Eating animals is wrong, McDonald's. Hurting animals is wrong, McDonald's. Share this song and change your entire menu to be vegan from now on.
Okay, that's like, nothing too out of the ordinary. Like, I know vegans get a bad rap for being so outspoken about their lifestyle, and people are generally sick and tired of hearing about vegans yelling at people to stop eating animals. To be super honest, I don't think this little song is going to convince this multi-billion-dollar corporation to change like their entire menu that they're known for. And it seems like this sentiment wasn't lost on Vegan Teacher because she really began to start mixing up her content, and that got a lot more people to notice her and criticize her. People would give her shit because she created content that could be seen as racist and homophobic. For example, she used the phrase "I can't breathe" for a song about killing animals. She also stated that
Coming out as a vegan animal rights activist, as somebody who cares beyond themselves, is much more special than it is to come out as a member of the LGBTQ community. Coming out as a member of the LGBTQ community is an entirely selfish act.
This really began to stir up the hate train against Vegan Teacher, but it wasn't until she began attacking certain notable individuals that she really got some thrown at her. For example, she criticized Mr. Beast for donating food to the homeless because it contained animal products. And the biggest beef that Vegan Teacher had was with Gordon Ramsay, where she made a TikTok calling to Gordon Ramsay to tell him that animals are not food and meat is murder. And of course, that didn't catch the attention of Chef Ramsay, so she began to escalate her TikToks, calling Ramsay the devil and a psycho who couldn't empathize with animals. That really didn't get Ramsay's attention, so she really amped up the stakes by calling him a terrible father, calling him racist, comparing him to Hitler, even made a diss track on him.
Why is Gordon Ramsay an animal bully when instead of eating meat, he could just eat protein-packed veggies? Why does Gordon Ramsay choose to pay for blood and murder when he can just switch over to vegan mayo and a vegan burger?
So after all these videos attempting to grind Gordon Ramsay's name through the meat grinder, the celebrity chef finally responded to Vegan Teacher after she made a song about the chef on TikTok.
Eating animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Hurting animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Share this song, and if you call me a donut, that's fine.
Vegan
as long
donut.
As you're vegan from now on.
Yep, vegan donut. That's going around her head rent-free for a little while. And because of that simple response from Gordon Ramsay, she kind of became the laughingstock of the internet for a week or two. And all of this stuff really threw her in for a loop. Later on, she would upload a YouTube video titled, "Are You Racist?" where she wrote a poem about a little girl, and I'm gonna recite this poem. The little girl is generous, intelligent, natural, gorgeous, exemplary, and radiant. Ban cruelty, not words. Aw, it's kind of a cute little poem. It spells out ginger too. Maybe it was for like some redheaded girl or something. Oh, that's not a redheaded girl. She also made a TikTok about Tommy Innit, who recently got his diamond play button, stating,
Tommy, the nice vegan girls don't want to see your buttons, but if you want them to play with your buttons, you're gonna have to show them your fruits and your vegetables.
Keep in mind, Tommy was 16 when Vegan Teacher made that comment, and you know, many people called her out for being a creepo, but Vegan Teacher decided to defend herself, claiming that
Tommy Innit fans, what the is the matter with you guys? I saw some of the duets that you guys did to that little 15-second video I did for him. What the are you guys doing? Some of you are crying, some of you are punching the camera, going fucking crazy. God help the next generation. You guys are fucked up. Seriously.
Yeah, later on in 2021, she would get IP banned from TikTok for breaching community guidelines, though the exact reason isn't particularly known. This led to Vegan Teacher to promise on her YouTube channel that she would not give up on her internet platform. She will keep fighting the meat patriarchy. I love vegetables! And she tried to make more TikTok accounts, but those ended up getting banned as well for ban evasion. If you want to learn more about her, there are plenty of commentary videos about Vegan Teacher. She still remains active on her YouTube channel, posting videos on meat eaters and making reaction videos to her detractors and whatnot. I tried tipping, he begged me to stay. Babe, I'm not saying I just want to play. In a party, he just want to romp. Tony and Andreas Lopez. So these Lopez brothers are apparently huge TikTokers and are part of this collective called the Hype House, which according to Wikipedia is a collective of teenage TikTok personalities based in Moore Park, California, as well as the name of the mansion where some of the creators live. They're also being sued by their landlord for destroying the house and not paying their rent. Anyway, besides the point, they just seem like a pair of annoying TikTokers. What could be the problem with them? Oh! They pulled an EDP. According to TMZ, Tony Lopez has been sued for the of two 15-year-old girls and along with gender violence. What the f? Tony Lopez had been accused of using social media to groom and exploit these two underage girls, the details of which have been included in this incriminating lawsuit. And they also alleged that he leaked explicit photos of himself to underage girls. Along with this lawsuit train, he's also gotten criticism for making controversial tweets in the past, which have been deemed sexist, homophobic, and racist. Of course, this leads to Tony making a fake-ass apology livestream on Insta.
Just want to come on here and, as a young man, take accountability and responsibility for my actions, and I have to understand this and learn from it, grow from it, and I'm just going to hold myself accountable and responsible for some past immature decisions.
Oh, boo-hoo, I have to face the consequences of my actions. I will grow and learn to be a better... Knowing not to groom kids is not a learning experience. Everyone knows that if you inappropriately touch kids, it's wrong. You should have known that it's wrong. You're just saying you're sorry because you got caught. Even after all these apologies, Tony still denied all the allegations and said that, oh, I will fight till the very end. And there was also this moment where Tony Lopez made a TikTok and the sound he used was titled Tony Lopez Likes Minors, which led to users commenting on how he admits to his crimes and are owning up to it, and it's, you know, a little goof gaff, whatever. Let's not forget about his brother, Andreas, who was brutally exposed for having a relationship with a 14-year-old girl right after his brother got sued.
She's 14. And you are how old?
23.
Yeah. You know what can happen to you?
I do.
You can end up in jail.
You heard that right. That's a 9-year age gap. And it's caused more evidence to be posted online about Andreas' predatory behavior, including a document from his attorney, which accused him of doing the dirty with the 14-year-old. Quick correction on the Andreas case. So apparently the accuser decided to drop the claim 6 months after they made that video. They stated they had a conversation with the Lopez brothers and that the entire thing was a misunderstanding. Personally, I don't, and many people don't believe these facts. Many people think the Lopez brothers gave them some hush money so they don't like sue them and everything. Look, I don't know what the is going on with this family, with these pair of brothers. I don't want to talk about them anymore because my blood pressure is going to keep rising. I'm going to get a heart attack. I hope these two brothers get into jail. Hope their victims get justice. People falling head over heels over criminals has been a phenomenon since like forever in history. Ted Bundy got married in death row. The Night Stalker had fans who would send him letters and gifts. Charles Manson had his cult to hype him up in prison. Now, the most recent occurrence of this on TikTok would be the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series that was getting popular. And that just caused the mass exodus of TikToks making thirst traps and fan edits of Dahmer on the show. And it is pretty ironic because when the actual Dahmer was imprisoned, many women sent him gifts and money, even though he was a gay man. Also, dude murdered and ate people, everyone! And to keep on with this history theme, there are plenty of young teens who are obsessed with the Columbine. They called themselves the Columbiners and would cosplay as Eric and Dylan, even wrote fan fiction of the pair. For an example of a killer that was simped over on TikTok, I'm gonna talk about Cameron Herron. He was sentenced to 24 years in prison after he ran over a mother and daughter during an illegal street race. After his story was found out online, many TikTokers began to protest his sentencing, claiming that, oh, you know, he wasn't racing or anything, and that, oh, he didn't, you know, run over and destroy the family. And of course, Herron got his fair share of fan edits calling him cute, hot, sexy, whatnot. I mean, I don't get the vibe with this guy. Dude's got the biggest blue eye posture I've ever seen. Like, he's just staring into my soul right now. So why do people have this sort of attraction to these kind of people? Many psychologists speculate that people who tend to have a sort of sexual attraction to criminals often have low self-esteem or a lack of father figure. Some believe they can, you know, they can fix him. I can fix him. Some just hope to get some their 5 minutes of fame. Maybe they get a book deal or a movie deal like that. And some like it because they have the notions of the perfect boyfriend. They're always in jail. They're always where you expect them to be. They can't flirt with any other girls because there are literally no other girls they can flirt with. Some even said these murderers are like alpha males and like women loves a man who can rip and tear and eat people apart because, you know, they can protect their families and whatnot. It's just stupid stuff. Hola Niños, I moved this entry from layer 5 all the way up to here because I'm gonna be honest, I think this dude is hilarious. Hola Niños refers to TikToker Maxi Miller, whose entire shtick is that he has this creepy ass face and would do stuff like this.
Hola, niño.
That's it. That's all he does. And I don't know why. I think it's super hilarious. He's also a very popular choice for void memes. Those memes where they take a clip and then they like heavily distort it. They put like eerie music or loud sounds and they make the person look like a hideous monster. And I guess for some people, it does look a little terrifying, but I don't know. I just think he's pretty funny and like his face is a little goofy and that's all. I mean, if you were chasing me and started screaming like that, I would be running too, okay? I'd be screaming my ass off. Maybe a little, come a little in my pants too, I don't know. So there are TikToks that are supposedly from cartel members that are flexing their nice flashy cars and big mansions that their cartel lifestyle afforded them. And if it isn't obvious enough, this is a tactic that the cartel is using to recruit young impressionable kids into joining them. And I probably don't need to explain the dangers of getting involved with the cartel. Super dangerous move, by the way. And along with this, there are plenty of TikToks of cartel members getting to shoot us with the Mexican police or military. I won't show you guys the clips for obvious reasons. I guess this tactic is working because there have been reports of US teenagers attempting to join these cartel groups. And what they would do is they get these newbies to smuggle some illegal drugs into the United States as some sort of initiation stage to prove that they really wanted to join the cartel. Of course, this doesn't shine a good light on TikTok for allowing criminals to recruit young kids to help with the cocaína battle bus. So a TikTok spokeswoman said that the company was, quote, committed to working with law enforcement to combat organized criminal activity and that they would remove any content and accounts that promote illegal activity. And this did cause most cartel videos on TikTok to be removed from the platform. Okay, this trend is not exclusive to TikTok, but there have been plenty of people faking animal rescues for, of course, views and attention. I remember this being a huge phenomenon on YouTube where channels, mostly from Southeast Asia, would film themselves rescuing cats and dogs. And the up thing is that these channels would intentionally harm animals off camera, so when they're ready to film their video, they'd like wrap up their little boo-boo so it looks like they're, you know, good people. Some of these videos don't even put in the effort to make it look legit. Here's this example of some guy supposedly finding a dog, and I'm sure you can see why this is fake as hell. And you know what? This audience eats it up like it's gourmet, praising these guys for being heroes and, oh, thank you for saving the animals. Like, these guys are literally Titan from Megamind, pretending to be the hero because they want views and attention. And other fake animal rescues on TikTok do really messed up things, like putting snakes and puppies together so that the snake could like wrap around the puppy. But, oh, thank the Lord, these bozos in flip-flops conveniently recording themselves on their iPhones come in to unwrap the snake from the puppy and rescue it from harm's way. In May 2021, TikTok user 627 captured footage of a woman wandering around Seattle, and she's in pretty bad shape, torn clothes, ripped hair, and was constantly screaming. Soon police would approach the woman to see what was going on, but the video then cuts off. And this clip went viral on TikTok before TikTok took it down for seemingly unknown reasons. I guess they thought the appearance of the woman looked a little too disturbing for audiences, I don't know. So the millions of people who watched this TikTok came up with some theories on who she is and why she got into this situation. Many believe the zombie woman was a domestic violence victim or was a human trafficking victim that had escaped her tormentors. Some just straight up thought she was a zombie. Others believe she was on drugs, specifically synthetic cathinoids, better known as bath salts. And this theory became popular because there was this infamous news story about a Florida man who attacked a homeless man and bit off most of his face. And many believe this Miami zombie was on bath salts. However, toxicologists only identified small traces of marijuana in the Florida man's system. I remember my mom telling me this story while eating a hometown buffet. Great dinner convo, Mom. Anyways, 627 later provided an update on the woman on her TikTok.
So I wanted to give a quick update for anyone who saw the original video I posted of the woman who was screaming in distress outside my window. I wanted folks to know that the police did come and that care was administered to her. She was taken to a local hospital, but I have no further updates about what happened with her beyond that. Living in a city like Seattle, it is not uncommon for people to not have the resources to properly care for their mental health, their housing, for their addiction. And so unfortunately, it's not abnormal to hear someone screaming like that in the middle of the day.
So do we really know what was wrong with that woman and why she was acting that way? Yes, we do know what happened to the zombie woman, and it turns out it's fake. I'm sure most people found out from the Nick Crowley video that he made about the zombie woman, but some body cam footage from the police officers that found her was released, and it turns out the woman was in like makeup and was faking this entire thing. She was still screaming hella, so what was going on? Well, it turns out some people did some digging, and apparently this woman is some artist online who did this performance art, quote unquote, to protest the COVID vaccine. Great.
I piss and poo, but mostly pee. I piss and poo. I piss and poo.
Hashtag crime is a popular hashtag on TikTok, which covers a variety of content such as explanation videos, court trial footage like JCS, and if you look deep enough, you'd actually find people filming themselves committing crimes because they're stupid. I've occasionally stumbled upon this hashtag through my For You page, and some of the most popular TikToks I've seen from this hashtag includes those slideshows with like images of the victim or from the crime scene with the lengthy caption explaining the case. You know, it's super sad and super sentimental. And this hashtag is wildly popular. It has 21.7 billion views as of writing. And of course, any content revolving around true crime has been popular in popular culture for the longest time, and it's no surprise that it remains true on TikTok as well. Okay, William Durga is 1, a bozo, and 2, a wanted criminal. He became viral on TikTok after he taunted the police to come find him, dancing in front of his wanted post writing, "Come and get me, bitch." And it got viral. 3.4 million views viral. LaGrange police posted on their Facebook about how Durga was involved with an undercover drug operation that was occurring at a pub he happened to be at. It was unclear whether or not Durga was an employee or just a customer. And during the run from the police, Durga actually did a couple of interviews with media outlets, and he claims that he wasn't actively dodging the feds because they just never showed up at his house. Of course, it's not known if he was telling the truth or not because he is a wanted criminal. Oh, did I say wanted? He ain't wanted no more, yeah! Days after Durga's TikTok went viral, police basically went, okay, bet. Then the police would raid his house, arrest Durga, and update their Facebook page, mentioning that if it wasn't for their viral TikTok, many people would not have sent so many tips and information to the police leading to his arrest. I mean, he talked shit and got hit. What did he honestly expect? Zachary Latham was someone who really wanted to be TikTok famous quickly. So he decides the best and most effective way to become TikTok famous is to murder someone. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm low-key not surprised that this is an occurrence, but you know, I just thought that this would have happened sooner than later. Not that I want people to murder each other for TikTok fame, I'm just saying. Anyway, so the problem with Latham began when he moved into Vineland, New Jersey, and met with his neighbor, William Durham, who was an off-duty state's correction officer. Durham would scold Latham for his reckless driving, which Latham would then apologize. However, that didn't really matter in the future because the two would continue to feud. A few years later, Latham would post a TikTok where he confronted Durham's wife, calling her a Karen, and it went super viral. Many people were siding with Latham and were leaving comments to do things towards Durham's wife, including slashing her tires or to just go after her. Okay then. Things start to escalate after another incident between Latham and the Durhams happened, where Latham allegedly swerved his truck into one of the Durham's sons who was riding a bike at the time. And this led to the entire Durham family to confront Latham and his wife. Dude was married at 18 years old. Anyways, the family confronted Latham and his wife at their home. This caused Latham to wield a 4-inch knife and a taser, even though the Durhams weren't even armed. Latham would then fire the taser and swing the knife at one of the Durham's sons, and this altercation would then head towards Latham's garage, where he would then fatally stab William Durham in the torso, puncturing his lung. Police soon arrived, pronounced William deceased, and then arrested Latham. And the strangest thing is that the police let Latham out on jail while awaiting trial. What? Latham then moved to Florida, which we later get arrested because he threatened a motorist with a pellet gun that resembled an assault rifle. And also, ew, what the hell? Look at the top of his head. But the thing is that complicated matters between the Durham family and Latham was that the Durham family were also criminally charged with trespassing and aggravating assault. So when Latham first got indicted, his lawyers argued self-defense. However, Durham's lawyers later discovered that Latham's wife was recording the stabbing with the intention to post it on TikTok for views and attention. And they also discovered comments on Latham's TikTok where users would dox the Durham family, and Latham would even engage with these fans who were talking about the trial, which obviously broke rules because you're not supposed to talk about stuff you're talking about in court trials. As far as I can find, the verdict for Latham hasn't been decided yet, and if it has, I couldn't find it. Sorry, you know, this is the Iceberg Explained video. What'd you expect? Like some high-end research? I guess the internet just lost interest in this case. The only recent information that I could find is that Latham's being held at the Cumberland County Jail awaiting trial.
Spend some time away getting wet.
Security1275 is a TikTok account of a cemetery security guard who works the graveyard shift. It begins with Josh, that's the security guard's name, working at the Colonial Park Cemetery in Georgia. Most of his TikTok consists of himself patrolling the cemetery guards and experiencing a paranormal phenomenon.
What the hell? Hey, kid! Kid! That. I don't know where he went. This kid fucking running from me. Kid! Holy God. Where the hell he went?
Yeah, that is pretty strange, especially with that kid running around. I just like the part where he just goes, this, and just runs back to his car. He definitely knows this kind of is way above his pay grade. And it is definitely spooky. There are apparitions slinking around in the dark that Josh doesn't even notice at the time. He had to look at comments to finally realize that there was a ghost in his videos. Here's a notable example of Josh patrolling the cemetery in broad daylight, and apparently he's chasing the same kid as before, as his voice was heard on the TikTok.
I'm basically just securing all this stuff right now, making sure there's nobody in here. Anybody in here? Hello? Yeah, but listen, you gotta get out of here. You're gonna have to come talk to me, okay? Where you at? I can't see you. You're correct, so you need to come out, okay? You guys hear this. This is broad daylight. I don't know where this kid is.
Apparently Josh later called the police, who said that they also caught the kid's voice on their body cam, which many commenters and YouTubers who analyze this TikTok claims that is evidence of Security1275 being legit. Unfortunately, most of Josh's ghost TikToks were removed, which was, according to Josh, due to a hacker. But there are plenty of videos analyzing Security1275, which includes the one from Nextbell, the most popular one. It seems that many people are gravitated to this account because Josh doesn't really seem like the type of dude to fake these ghost videos, you know, he's just your average Joe working a security job, and he's scared out of his mind because, he's alone all in the dark. I would be too. Of course, it doesn't dismiss the fact all of this could have been faked. Maybe Josh slipped a 20 to the kid to run around and act like a ghost or something for some TikTok clout. Who knows? Ugg Henry is a TikTok user who made a video where they used the app Randonautica. It's basically an app where it would generate random coordinates in your local area, and you would go to those coordinates to see what you find. It's like an impromptu scavenger hunt. You know what I mean? So Ugg Henry got a friend to go explore these random coordinates they got from the app, and they stumbled upon this black suitcase in a Seattle beach. And with overwhelming curiosity, they opened the black suitcase and they mentioned how the smell was overwhelming. Now, inside the suitcase, there were a bunch of black trash bags, and that combined with the smell made them very nervous, and they decided to call the police to investigate. And what they found? Oh boy, this caused an investigation to begin, which led to another bag of to be found in the water. And this entire ordeal has basically traumatized Henry, and the detectives are still continuing to investigate about where these came from and who the suspect is. This also ties in with other creators who have used the app Randonautica to go to these random coordinates and find really weird and creepy stuff. Thankfully, the suspect was later found and arrested. Animal cruelty. Again, this is a very broad entry about what it's talking about on TikTok, and this sort of relates to the previous entry about the fake animal rescues. I'm not gonna go in depth into this entry because I don't want to give these animal abusers any attention. Animal abusers. I also don't want YouTube to get on my case again, and it's also something that needs to be addressed in a more serious video. There are plenty of users on TikTok who unfortunately abuse animals to create shock content to troll viewers or for some reason to get like TikTok clout. And yeah, TikTok obviously does not allow this kind of content to go rampant on their platform. So hopefully you haven't seen any of these animal abuse videos because, they're f***ed up and you shouldn't give any of these people attention. Missing TikTokers. So one of the most notable cases of missing people on TikTok would be Cassie Compton. On September 14th, 2014, 15-year-old Cassie Compton will be last heard from anyone. She was attending the Arkansas County Demolition Derby with a friend in DeWitt. Her friend realized Cassie was gone after returning home that night before. After unsuccessful calls to Cassie's phone, the friend Judy contacted authorities. Since then, numerous physical searches have been conducted, and the authorities have followed up on countless leads. Unfortunately, the police and Cassie's family were unable to figure out her whereabouts. Now, this ties back into TikTok because on January 2021, a TikTok would go viral of this woman sitting in the back of a car with two black guys just staring at the camera blankly. And many believe this was in fact Cassie Compton as they compared the two likenesses. Well, it turns out it wasn't Cassie Compton after all, because this woman is actually Haley Grace Phillips, who has been reported missing from her family, and many people reached out to Phillips to, make sure she's all right and everything. This led her to live stream on her Instagram explaining that she isn't Cassie Compton, and the two black guys were from when she was robbed and jumped by two women. The people in her car were actually her friends trying to find the two women that robbed her. So Phillips explained that although her family had reported her as missing, she actually left home on her free will after she had a violent altercation with her father. Of course, she could be manipulated by her kidnappers to lie on the internet and that Phillips could be in danger. Unfortunately, we may never know because all of her social media got deleted and she hasn't returned since. Now, another example of a missing TikToker would be Andrew Dawson. On April 10th, 2022, Dawson would upload a TikTok of himself filming a mountain in Canada where he would spot what seems to be a giant person standing on top of it. So this sparked his interest and he just began to go giant hunting, scouring the area in an attempt to find answers on what he saw on top of that mountain. And apparently he was being stopped by CIA agents and the Canadian CSIS agents who told him that he was trespassing on government property, even though Dawson argued that it's a public park. He later posted TikToks of himself getting stalked by these CIA agents and talked about how he was scared of just mysteriously disappearing one day. His last post on TikTok would be be on May 17th, 2022, and Dawson would cease any social media activity afterwards. His disappearance caused a huge stir on the internet, with some claiming that the CIA did in fact make him disappear and that the government was covering up like aliens and However, there were some that called to question the legitimacy of this giant. When the story was posted on r/OutOfTheLoop, Reddit user High-Rise Drifter stated that, quote, "The giant in the video is actually a tower." However, this post has reached its end after Dawson's obituary was posted on the Campbell River Mirror. The obituary states that Dawson had passed away on July 1st, 2022 at 34 years old. Now, of course, that caused a huge stir on the internet because, you know, he did in fact disappear, and like the fact there was no cause of death. He had a whole family. He had a wife and kids that he just left behind. So this obituary was very suspicious. However, I couldn't find any other information because I guess people just stopped investigating afterwards. Okay, so the word that starts with G and rhymes with snore. This entry, again, is pretty vague on what it's referring to, but TikTok is a huge platform and there are going to be a bunch of bad actors who would post shocking content just for the sake of it, just to troll viewers, just for whatever sick, twisted reason they wanted to upload it. One infamous instance of this would be the dancing girl video, where the TikTok would show a little girl dancing before it abruptly cuts to someone being. Many believe the origins of the shocking clip was from a Mexican cartel group who would make these kinds of videos to intimidate people. I'm sure there are plenty of other examples of the word that starts with G and rhymes with snore, but I'm already on thin ice with YouTube, and I believe this is enough to illustrate the point of just be careful what you see online, guys. I remember one of my friends had his entire For You page algorithm loaded with this kind of shocking content. I have no idea what he did to the algorithm to make it think that, oh yeah, this is the kind of stuff you want, this is the kind of stuff you get your rocks off to, huh? He doesn't know how he did it. I have no idea why that's even capable. Listen, just be careful on the internet. I'm looking out for you guys. Okay, so this is an entry that I'm going to tell straight up because I don't want to be disrespectful to an individual who has suffered a lot in their lifetime. On August 31st, 2020, Ronnie McNutt ended himself on a Facebook live stream with a single-shot rifle. He was an Iraq veteran who suffered from various mental health problems, such as depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, which came from his military service. Media outlets also claim that McNutt committed this act because he broke up with his girlfriend and lost his job during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, close friends and family members disputed these media claims. The livestream clip soon went viral on YouTube and especially TikTok. Many users would troll and upload the livestream clip in an attempt to shock viewers who unexpectedly viewed it on their For You page. You know, when you swipe up, you unexpectedly see that. And many criticized TikTok for being too slow in removing all of the content related to McNutt's livestream. Even the Ronnie McNutt hashtag garnered 15.6 million views only a few days after the live stream. Soon, TikTok would utilize algorithms to delete any clips of McNutt, but uploaders would soon disguise their content by putting unrelated clips before they showed a McNutt clip. Like, it's sort of similar to that video I mentioned earlier. They would put like unassuming, like cutesy content before it just cuts into McNutt's livestream clip. Now, news about the clip's virality on TikTok began to spread, with many users calling to boycott TikTok until they removed every trace of the clip. People took this opportunity to discuss mental health and prevention and how the internet severely affects those two. Parents also reported on how their children were exposed to this clip, which caused them to be highly distressed, even to the point where some of them got physically ill. And to just cap off this entry, it's extremely depressing and sad how users would exploit someone's final moments just because it so happened to be live streamed on the internet to play into their sick, twisted sense of humor. It's fucked up, and there's a lot of sick and demented people who would do this type of shit again. I know for some reason I always like ending off these Iceberg videos with this sort of like sad note, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.